Hi and welcome to LawWiser, India's first video-only knowledge-sharing platform for law and policy. Today we are discussing a very interesting topic which is related to green hydrogen. And to know all about this national green hydrogen policy, we have an expert speaker with us. We have Ms. Rimali Batra. She is Associate Partner at Regulatory and Policy Practice of DSK Legal with focus on energy, oil and gas and projects. Welcome, Rimali, and thank you for taking time out for us today.
Thank you so much, Sania. That was a very warm introduction. It's a pleasure to be on LawWiser and discussing something so upcoming. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Rimali, if you can explain to our audience what is green hydrogen and what are its uses?
Sure. So, the green hydrogen policy was introduced by the government on 19th February 2022, and which was the national hydrogen policy. Since you've asked me what is green hydrogen, well, it's basically a process. It's a gas, of course. It's the hydrogen gas which is produced through a process called the electrolysis of water. So it's an energy intensive process where basically you are splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen and using the renewable power to then achieve this. And if I was to broadly, talk about the uses of hydrogen, it could be burnt to produce fuel, which then, becomes the fuel cells could be used to make electricity. It also helps in mobilizing vehicles because specifically, hydrogen or electric cars and trucks, which we know EVs are going to be the next big thing in the market. It also acts as fuel for container ships because the liquid ammonia, which is drawn from hydrogen, helps fuel container ships as well. Hydrogen powered electricity turbines are also going to be, using this as a fuel, and then it could help meet demands of electricity in cases of grid failure. And now, if I was to conclude this and put it succinctly, basically hydrogen could act as a complete replacement to coal in the near future. Specifically, with the steel industry relying on coal heavily, we could see that hydrogen could be the means of generating electricity for all those industries that are dependent on coal. So yeah, though that's about hydrogen and its uses.
Great. Thanks, Amali, for actually explaining all of that to our audience. And so, moving further, where you mentioned about the national hydrogen policy, if you could share what are the attributes of this policy or what's really in it for the producers to enter the market?
Sure. So I think the government has done a fantastic job because the policy does offer a lot of incentives for anyone who's wanting to enter this market. To spell out a few, for instance, the first is that the policy offers up to 25 years of free power transmission for the new renewable energy plants who are wanting to set up, green hydrogen production. But there's a cutoff date that this production plants must be set up before July 2025. Right. And the second part of the policy, the second incentive that the policy provides is that the energy plants will be, which are being set up under green hydrogen, would be given connectivity to the grid on priority basis. Now, that's like putting them right in front of the line for all the others who are looking for grid connectivity or all the other kinds of, plants coming up in the market. The government has also actually proposed, and this is more facilitative than an incentive, they've actually proposed to set up a single portal for all clearances that would be required by a green hydrogen production unit. That's quite lucrative for any investor coming to India. If you get all clearances in one go, nothing better than that, right? And then in addition, for all producers who want to bank any supply of renewable energy generated, for instance, if there are no buyers in the market, they could actually bank their energy with DISCOMs up to 30 days and use it as and when required. Now, this has all been provided. So in a nutshell, there is a balance. The requirement of time-bound clearances of these projects would actually spur investment on one hand, while grid connectivity on priority would give them the operational process ease, which the market actually looks for. And although though not mandatory, but I'd like to put this in that the state DISCOMs may also want to procure renewable energy to supply green hydrogen, from the producers, but they will have to probably do it at a concessional rate to begin with in the initial years. So those are some of the facilitative aspects or the incentive aspects of the policy.
Thank you, Rimali. That actually kind of does explain to our audience, what are the incentives and, things points that actually attract producers to enter, with respect to green hydrogen. So now, since we know what are the incentives, if you can also highlight the challenges that are there with respect to this policy, especially for production and supply related aspects.
Sure. So, like we're looking at it for the first time, because green hydrogen is going to enter the market for the first time, there are going to be definitely some challenges on, the technology side, and that's a very important question actually. So, for producers who are wanting to come in the market, there may be supply chain issues. For example, the green hydrogen would hinge upon creation of a supply chain, starting from the manufacturer of the electrolysis process to the production of green hydrogen, and finally bringing in the electricity from a renewable energy source. So there's going to be a supply chain as to do we have enough on the supply chain at all levels. So that's going to be one aspect of the challenge. The other is, technology. As we know, it's something new. The whole process that is, electrolysis, which we're talking about, is built on a large scale, and we've yet to see it. So we're going to wait and see how the technology on this aspect really spans out. Another aspect of the challenge could be storage of green hydrogen, because you need to store this product or this commodity at either very high pressures or very high temperatures, and it's required to be maintained. And both have their own technical difficulties. So, plus the whole hazardous nature attribute that is attached to hydrogen could also be looked at. However, I'd like to point here that the policy has provided facilities to boost actually export of green hydrogen, because under the policy, the port authorities will provide land, whatever charges maybe that will apply, to green hydrogen producers to set up bunkers near the ports for storage prior to exporting it. At the moment, I can see Germany and Japan could be, key markets for green hydrogen producers in India. But then we are yet to look at other risks, like risk of use of hydrogen, the high production cost of hydrogen, lack of proper infrastructure, and some more. So these are some of the challenges maybe which the producers would face in the initial years of the policy.
Thanks, Rimali. So these were, what you highlighted were producer-related challenges. What do you think would be policy and economic challenges associated with this policy?
Sure. So there are definitely a few of those as well. So if I have to put them, in some pointers, I can think of economic sustainability of this. So to extract both green and blue hydrogen is one of the biggest challenges that we are facing in the industry. So to be able to do it economically and sustainably for a long term is going to be a big challenge. I'm reminded of the time when, solar was introduced as the next big thing in the market, and everybody was talking about it. But today we look at it as equal to any other, form of fuel. So similarly, green hydrogen today looks like a big thing, but we'll have to see whether it can seep in the market smoothly, with sustainable manner like the solar has done. But we'll see how it spans out. So there are those economic sustainability challenges. Then there are, like I said earlier, there is a technology challenge which is already there, but coupled with that is the carbon capture and the storage, problems that come in, right? There's always the cost factor, because expensive technology means expensive cost of production, which would mean a lot of investment. And there's going to be a lot of fiscal pressure on the government, and how much the government can actually ease out of it to make sure that the production runs in the manner it's envisaged or envisioned will have to be seen. Plus the higher maintenance cost, which obviously, again, is a part of the cost factor, because it takes time to maintain something new, a new technology that comes in. So those are some of the policy and economic challenges that the government will have to grapple with.
Great, great, Rimali. Thank you for actually highlighting all these challenges for our audience and, kind of making them understand, especially when these new policy comes in, obviously they're bound to have certain set of challenges. So to conclude, how do you see the potential of this policy or the way forward, for national hydrogen policy?
So India does have the potential, to bring down the cost of green hydrogen by using, low cost renewable generating plants, and maybe having some cost curtailment experiences that we have gained through solar and, wind reverse auctions, etc. But I would put it this way, that there is a huge potential owing to the fact that we are a very young demographic economy and we are thriving. And it has a long term benefit with both the government and the producers on both sides wanting to bring in, hydrogen based technologies in the country. And hydrogen needs to be considered as complementary to its alternatives rather than looking at it as an ultimate and a standalone solution. It can't be that the others are eradicated. It has to complement with what exists in the market. And we'll have to see how the government would work towards, storage and transportation technologies with respect to making sure that hydrogen does mature effectively and rather cost effectively by 2030. So we'll see how it pans out. But as of today, it does seem to have a lot of potential.
Great, great. Thank you, Rimali. Thank you for succinctly explaining all of it to our audience. And, thank you once again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being on LawWiser.